Greetings, everybody. How are you doing today? I hope that this day is catching you in a good mood. Hope you're feeling all right and doing well. I can't complain myself. I'm doing pretty good too. First, I would like to thank you for checking me out once again. I tell you, I am very appreciative for your support. And of course, I would like to welcome you to another episode of TJ's Topics. And if you're new to this channel, if you happen to be a new subscriber or anything, then I hope you'll stick around and kind of interact with me, because I definitely want to interact with you. And I am TJ, by the way. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I tell you, I'm as we go further into this season of autumn, to me, this is a time of year when I sort of do a lot of reflecting on things. Once we get into the month of September, October, and then in a couple of weeks, we'll be in November, which is my birthday month. And then finally, December. This is the time of year when I do a lot of reflecting. And not only do I reflect on a lot of things at this time of year, such as, some of the things that have taken place throughout the year and things that have happened in years past, but I also like to consider the future. What is it that I can do better in the years to come that I may not have done so well in years past? Or perhaps there are some things that I can put down in the years to come, And so it's all kind of things that tend to come to mind for me at this time of year. And I don't know about you, but once we get to the latter portion of the year, that is when I begin to think about a lot of stuff. And how about this? Do any of you out there ever feel like you have reached a point in your life where you're ready for an upgrade of some sort? You know, it, I mean, there are always things that we can improve upon in our lives. There's always room for improvement, and we never outgrow making changes. It's good when we can um, turn some things around in our lives, and make things better, and make changes in our homes, and um, make changes in our careers, whatever those changes may consist of. It's good when we can do those things. It makes our lives better. And in doing that, not only will our lives get better, but perhaps the lives of those who are connected to us may get better as well. Because when we're happy, then the people around us will find themselves being happy too. It begins to spread. And who doesn't want to spread happiness and joy and peace, gladness and love? Those are the things that everyone ought to want to share and to partake of, because who has time for confusion and corruption and and mess and I mean, folks don't have time for that. Life is way too short for that. And so I said all that to say that my little topic for today, and I'm gonna try to not bore you to death, but it's just something that popped up in my spirit. My topic is, it's time for an upgrade. That's what I'm thinking about at this present moment. It's time for an upgrade. And who doesn't want to upgrade something in their life at some point? At some time you do want to do things better. Like I said, you want to make changes when and where necessary, and change is good if it's for the better. But now there are those who object to change. Now, I will be the first to admit that change can be very difficult. Believe me, I mean, when it comes to making changes, depending on what those changes are and when they're set to take place, sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge for me. But if I see where the changes are going to be good, not only for me, but for those around me, and they will have a positive impact in the long run, then by all means, I'm all for it. But I have to be the one to see it first. And all the time, I may not see it. But again, it just depends on what those changes are. So, but when it comes to um, upgrading in any capacity, first we have to decide on what the upgrade will entail. Like, for example, if you're going to upgrade your home, if you're going to, upgrade your kitchen, your bathroom or bedroom or living room, whatever, you first have to decide on what needs to be done. You got to look around and, observe things and, kind of check things out and see what needs to be done. And second, you got to go about figuring out how much it's going to cost to make these changes or do the upgrade. And once you find out all that and see what kind of budget you're working with, then you can start the process of upgrading. And it can be hard work, especially when you got to move a lot of stuff and get rid of a lot of junk. But once you do that, then you'll be fine. Once you see the end result, I'm telling you, it makes all the hard work and all of the junk moving and stuff worthwhile. It really makes you feel good, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment. That you worked hard and you did it, and you achieved success. And see, that's something that any upgrade in one's life ought to bring about. The feeling of achievement and it'll make you feel good. I mean, any form of upgrade ought to make you feel good and not bad. Now I have a question for you, and that is, how can we know when it's time for an upgrade? See, that's something that only an individual can determine for themselves. No one else can determine that for them. You may have some who try to suggest things, but they don't really know because they're not walking in your shoes. Only you are. So, how can we know when it's time for an upgrade? Number one, when we reach a point of stagnation in our lives. Basically, when you get to the point where you're just going through the motions and you're not really achieving anything greater. In other words, you have gotten stuck in a rut and you find yourself almost like taking 2 steps back every time you attempt to take a step forward. That's how you know it's time for an upgrade in your life, or an upgrade of some kind. Number two, when we no longer find pleasure in anything. And that's a miserable feeling when you're walking around every day and you you just you have this old melancholy type feeling. It's like, ER, the little donkey used to be on Winnie the Pooh. He walked around every day just, oh, woe is me. Oh, nobody cares about me. Nobody appreciates me. He had that same old humdrum feeling every day. And we know people like that in everyday life. I mean, some of them may be family members, they may be friends or neighbors, co-workers, but we all know somebody who walks around every day with that same old dry, dead spirit about themselves. And see, the thing about that is when people have that kind of feeling, that spirit hovering over them, anytime they enter the room and you're there, and other people are there, that spirit that they carry around with them all the time begins to penetrate your spirit, and it starts to infiltrate your mind, your heart and soul, and before you know it, you walking around feeling all blue too. and I tell you, that is awful. It really is. Man. So that would definitely be a cause for an upgrade right there. Number three, when life's challenges seem to be bigger than the world itself. And we all go through things in life, and some big, some small, but we go through things. But then, there's sometimes there are things that people deal with that are just beyond any form of control. I mean, one thing is um, the death of a loved one, the passing of someone that you're close to. That is definitely one thing that's beyond our control. And everyone doesn't handle a person's transition the same way. Some people, they can handle it very well and it doesn't bother them all that much. But then you have those who, oh my God, they just, I don't know. they just can't take it, you know. And those are typically the ones who have not done anything for their loved ones, but yet they want to show up and show out at the funeral. My thing is this: if you haven't been around this person for all these years, and all of a sudden you want to show up and act a fool, honey, you need to go sit down somewhere, because ain't nobody studying you. You weren't around all this time, and now you gonna come around and want to be the biggest clown at the show, at the service. That doesn't make any sense. Just trying to be seen. It's stupid. It really is. And I tell you, I just don't have time for it myself. Number four, and we're still talking about how we can know when it's time for an upgrade. And that is in our lives, but it can be an upgrade in anything. Number four, when we find ourselves becoming emotionally unstable. And usually, when people are going through bouts of depression, or if they're, experiencing some sort of trauma in their life, It could have been something pertaining to a relationship, or it could be economic issues, or, pretty much anything that brings about instability in one's life. Those things have a way of causing one's head to spin. and that's not a good feeling if you've ever experienced head spinning. And see, when I was a child, I remember, I think, let's see, my mama, she told me about it one time when her head was spinning. And when you're a child, you think as a child normally would think. And so I thought that her head was literally spinning. But I didn't see it spinning. But that was just a feeling that she had, that she was experiencing at that time, whatever it was that she was dealing with, or some type of illness or whatever. And so, but there are some very difficult situations that people tend to face sometimes that causes them to feel as if their heads are really spinning. And oh man, I tell you, that can be a scary thing, and if you're not emotionally equipped to process whatever it is you're dealing with, oh man, it can be rough. It really can. And so my heart goes out to those individuals. It really does. Number 5, when we feel a sense of restlessness inside. Now, I think that's something that we all can relate to. Some people feel restlessness when they don't get enough sleep at night, but that would be from a physical standpoint. But in terms of emotion or anything like that, well, there are so many things that bring about restlessness inside of us. And of course, if you're dealing with relationship issues, or you have concerns about your job, don't know what's going to happen, and I'm gonna tell you, as we go on watching the news every day, think about all of what's going on in the world right now. This war over there in Israel, and then of course the war in Ukraine that's been going on for roughly 2 years now. And then you look at all of the strikes that are going on in the auto industry, Ford and General Motors and all of them, Chrysler and all of them. They're dealing with folk who don't want to pay them what they're worth. And we know that those people are worth more than what they're being compensated, because they are the ones who keep America going. And they're not being treated fairly. These big time CEOs and stuff wanna keep all the profits for themselves, but they don't want to share the wealth. And wealth was meant to be shared and spread. Now, and that doesn't mean give away all of what you got. I mean, ain't nobody gonna be a fool now and give away all their money. But when you got that kind of money, and I'm talking about sure enough rich, you a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever, what's the harm in being a blessing to your people, whoever you works for you, and doing a job that you're capable of doing? I mean, but you got a lot of these folk out here who just don't see it that way. They're selfish. They're greedy. They're trying to hoard up everything for themselves. Don't want to see anybody else prosper. That is very unfair. And now that right there, that will cause emotional instability. And when it comes to upgrading, that upgrade could be a way of escape for those people, for some of them who they've come to realize they're not getting anywhere working for those companies. They may have to end up moving on somewhere else, and perhaps even do even better, which would be good for them. Number 6, When we experience irritability on a regular basis, and now there are a number of things that causes us to be irritable. And there are also people out here who can cause us to be irritable. Now, take it from me, being in the school district now in my 16th year, I have definitely experienced many moments of irritability, you know, having had numerous encounters with teachers who were hard to get along with, and, a few tense moments with administration and nothing major, but just little petty stuff. I consider it pettiness. And then of course you have the students. They do things to get on your nerves. They aggravate the teachers, they aggravate the principals and stuff, and then the staff. And I'm a part of the staff, and I know that there have been times they've aggravated me. So, but I've learned how to tune out all that stuff. And that's what we have to do. But I tell you, when you can make a change in your life or upgrade, it brings about such a good feeling. It really does. And I've experienced moments of upgrading along the way, and look forward to even more as we go further into the future. And how about you? Have you experienced any forms of upgrading in your life as of yet? Well, if you haven't, then keep on. And I know that your time of upgrading will approach. It could be approaching right now and you don't even know it. And lastly, number 7. When you harbor feelings of guilt, shame, and resentment. And of course, that's a bad feeling, Now, this is the thing that really gets to me, and I'm trying to be as nice with this as I can. But, looking back over the years that I spent in church, and mind you, I still go, but not for the same reasons that I went from age 0 to 35. I think about all the times when, I sat under these different pastors and these different Sunday school teachers, and then I surrounded myself with various people. And, they would always tell me certain things, and I thought they meant well, but, later on I came to realize that a lot of that stuff, it was fear-based. I don't know why, but it seems like when it comes to religion, people like to use all these different little scare tactics in order to keep you rooted and grounded in the thing and in the place where they think you should be. And I feel like that's unfair to any person, because people should have the right to decide upon what kind of life they want to live and the things they want to do. And as long as they're not hurting anybody or hurting themselves, then it shouldn't matter. I don't think we have the right to go around here trying to dictate what other folk do. But what I find in religion a lot of times, and particularly Christianity, is, they want to control people's thinking, control their thinking, and because, see, the thing is, and I think Frederick Douglass said this, if you can control a man's thinking, you can control that man. And that's what religion seeks to do a lot of times. They want to control what people think and believe, and ultimately they can control them, because wherever the mind goes, quite naturally, the body is going to follow. But now, does that sound like a very happy and joyous life? Or would you consider that a life that needs a little bit of upgrading? Perhaps escape some of that stuff and begin to seek freedom and because see, freedom is outside the box. That's where it's typically found, outside of the box. And but sometimes they want to keep you right there in that little box. That way they can control you. But like that song that Barry White had, the line in there, don't want to control you, just have a good time. So that's the point where I am in my life. And as I go further, I'm all in favor of upgrading. I really am. I think it's a good thing. And mind you, I'm not in favor of certain changes, but if it's a change that's gonna make a huge difference, then I'm all for that. Good changes, positive changes. Those are the forms of upgrading that I definitely applaud. And I trust and believe that you all do too. You like to see things improve in your life as well, and make upgrades here and there whenever and wherever you can. So it's a good thing. And you'll know when it's time for an upgrade. You will know it, because the evidence will be all around you. I mean, everywhere you look, you will see it, and inwardly, you will feel it. And when you start to feel it and see it, then you will know beyond any shadow of a doubt that it is definitely time for an upgrade. So that's pretty much all I have to say on that. And like I said, we're moving further into this autumn season. We got 2 more months to go before this year is out. So it's not too late for any of you to upgrade something in your life. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of TJ's Topics. I tell you, I really do appreciate your company. And I tell you, I really enjoy the time that you and I spend together. It means the world to me. And please tune in again next time, because I don't know what I'll be thinking about next time, but I'm sure that whatever it is, it'll be something good. So I look forward to seeing you then. But until then, this is Taryn Jerome Harris, reminding you that every round goes higher and higher. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next go round. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.